played my wife a game of our farm game, Agricola or Agricola or whatever, and oh my goodness, that game was so like tense. It's like I don't know if you guys have ever played a board game and actually broke out in sweats, but towards the end of that game, I was literally sweating. I was like, oh, what's going on here? All right, let's go see if I can summon my brother. I summon fish to the dish. It's finest of the flavors. All right. I like that freaking group. Uh, you want to make mad films? Or like Kurosawa, I make mad films. Okay, I don't make films, but if I did, they'd have samurai. I can respect that. I can respect that quite a bit. Can I help it if I think you? Wait, man. Let's try not to smile, though I feel sad. You gotta get left at a funeral. Don't understand what I mean. You soon will. Okay, what am I wanting to do here? I think I'm going to try to leave this guy alone because every time I look at him, Zeus, because every time I look at this guy, I'm like, do I want to camo that guy up or what? And then I'm like, not really. I kind of like him the way he is. I've got this spider over here, scorpion, whatever it is, spider. Let's see, scorpion. Um, and I put the desert wash on him. So there he is with the desert wash. And I'm getting ready to hit him with Iraqi sand. And this will be all dry brushing, which is really easy. But yeah, Bare Naked Ladies. They were a cool group when they were out. They did a couple good songs. So played Hyperborea last night. It was a lot of fun. Everybody was pretty psyched. One of the people got a weapon. Hyperborea is really kind of wild because, granted, most of the group is like level 4 at this point. Most of them. I mean, the ones that take a lot of XP aren't necessarily, but like the thieves and the cleric. And he's just a generic cleric, so they level fast, right? But one of the characters got a weapon, and its special ability, in addition to being like a +2, +3, brother. There's my brother. But this weapon, if they roll it a crit to hit you, you get to make a saving throw with a penalty of -3. And if you fail the penalty, you just instantly are dead. And you can't be resurrected or reincarnated or brought back in any way. And for the flavor text, it says literal demons burst out and drag you to hell. And I'm sitting here like, that is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Pretty, that is a pretty wicked weapon. I mean, we're just dragging people straight to hell. Now, of course, it doesn't work on things that have no souls, so it won't affect undead and constructs and stuff. Uh, Probably won't affect demons, but I mean, to be able to run up on like an enemy combatant, a human or something mortal, and get that lucky shot, if they don't make the save, right to the underworld they go. Which the players very nearly got to the underworld. Hungar's in the chat for some reason. Probably just woke him up, honestly, because he only sleeps like 2 hours at a time, but like 12 times a day. Ate bad fish. Oh, the fish that your neighbor brought over got you sick. You might have to go over there and be like, "What up? Why you poison me with some fish?" I'm like Leanne Rhymes because I'm all about the value. But yeah, I threw myself out of bed last night like 3 times. I wonder if it's because I've decided to stop taking the clonazepam at night. But on 3 different occasions, I kid you not, I literally, dead in my sleep, threw myself off my bed. And on one of them, I hit the corner of the dresser near the bed, and it dented my freaking face in and bled. And on another one, I like tore all the skin off of a leg. I don't know if I'm gonna have to be one of those guys that has to sleep under a weighted blanket or some shit. It's messed up, man. So anyway, this is dark sand from what it was. Here's your dark sand. And as you can see, if you're pretty good with the dry brushing, a lot of the darker color that's already in the between the plates and stuff stays. And that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. You want it, because that's what gives your mech that cool 3D kind of, makes it look more real. Now, I said I was going to use Iraqi sand, but I used dark sand, which is a Vallejo model color. I do have Iraqi sand, though, but I don't know where it is. And I wonder if they're the same color, except they just changed the name from Iraqi sand to dark sand. Because I don't know. We live in a weird world, Ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. And it's hard to get by just upon a smile. Ooh. Cat Stevens, back when he was cool, before he like wigged out. But yeah, when I used to go to Hobby Lobby to buy my paints, the Vallejo paint, I bought that was basically that color was Iraqi sand. And I can't believe I can't see any just in front of me because I must have bought 10 containers of it because I love, see, I just spilt some paint. I absolutely love that sand color. You know what I mean? It's like my favorite sand color of all sand colors. Buckskin Pell, no. No. Well, I'm not going to look for it all day. I don't, care about it that much. But I'll end up finding it, like everything. Well, we'll see. Maybe tonight things will be better. But and the wife and I played our board game. Man, what a good game! Like when the game ended, I was literally just grinning ear to ear, even though I lost. But I mean, it was close and it was a lot of fun, That's why we play the games, right? To have the fun. So let's put this guy up and lay him dry anyway. Now, if I want to highlight him, I know this little trick, and it's called adding white paint to whatever the last color was, just a little bit. And it works pretty good. Now, I've got this yellow, and it was all yellow. Look at the sky. See how you see, since I painted him with speed paints instead of the dry brush method, I'm gonna have to do panels on this guy. Now I've got the really good Tamiya. Attack of the Desk. Luckily, it was nothing of value or consequence. Paints. I need to like, because I think I've got three of like each. I've got like three paints that I have three of all on the desk. I might need to put two of them in a drawer and just concentrate on, you know, keeping the ones I might actually, the one. But I've got this panel line accent color black and I've got dark brown. And this stuff, if you're careful, which, you know, I'm shaky as a freaking cat in a rocking chair factory, a long-tailed cat, I think is the way it actually goes. But if I'm careful, I should be able to do some panel lining. And then if I mess it up, then I'll have to go back with my Pro Acrylic Yellow and touch it up. So either way, it's if I'm really neat, I won't have to do extra work. And if I'm not really neat, I will have to do extra work. But the way this stuff works is you basically just barely touch a panel and you can see you barely put the tip of this and it uses capillary force to just suck it all the way down through the panel. So yeah, and it does not take much. That's actually the issue with it. Now, good thing is if you keep like a paper towel or something and it like gets out of hand a little bit, just rub over it with the paper towel or a cotton swab and all the extra will rub off, but this will stay in the inside the panel where you wanted it. So that's cool. I mean, that's a good thing, right? Just tappity tap, just a smidgy smidgen. Just this most dashiest dash, to quote my homeboy, uh, Double D, one of the coolest guys I think on the internet, honestly. Okay. Yeah, so that's working out pretty good. People popping in and popping out. They're like, "What is James doing?" I'm painting Baltec figures, guys. Also, Raven's talking to me a little bit again. He's probably still a Trump deranged hippie, but if he wants to talk BattleTech, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to hate somebody because they have political beliefs that are different than mine and they're wrong. Unless they, because hating somebody for what they believe is stupid. If you're going to hate somebody, hate them for what they do. Right? So like that's my opinion. We got too much bullshit going on around here anyway. And of course, the Iraqi or the Iranians. I said Iraqi because that was my war. Um, the Iranians are trying to say that they captured 173 Delta Forces soldiers, took them prisoner, and some died. Blah 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 during some failed mission. Bullshit. And then the pictures they showed her from like 20 years ago. If we'd landed a couple hundred special operations group guys anywhere, they would have had so much air cover. Example being when that one PRC group thought they would mess with the special forces team in Syria. It was literally one special forces team versus like a battalion of hardened mercenaries. And that battalion of hardened mercenaries got wiped the F out before they even got anywhere near to being able to hurt those special forces guys. Why? Because we control the air, baby. So the idea that we would dump a bunch of our special operators on an island with no air cover, get the F out of here. Those guys would have had Spectre and every other thing. They would have had stuff you and I don't even know about lobbying overhead, just waiting for anyone to stick a head up and catch, a 50 mil cannon in the face. So it's more Baghdad. What was he called back in the day? Baghdad, whatever. The guy that freaking he'd get on and every day he'd get on and talk shit about how uh, Iraq was defeating American forces. And it was just like, dude, we're in your base killing your dudes. But he would get on there every day and talk about how we're drowning in blood and blah, blah, blah. And you know how easy it was for us to defeat the Iraqi? It was so easy that I started feeling bad for him. Like, literally, I started thinking, this ain't even fair. I started wishing they would fight harder. That might sound weird, but I was young and stupid too, so cut me a break on that one. But yeah, literally, I was like, is this all this is going to be? Running over people? And it was for the most part. Hell, the second Gulf War, the only reason it was as hard as it was is because the commanders getting involved with the rules of engagement. Like now, the way Department of Wars ran with Hegseth, yeah, the rules of engagement is if you see the enemy, you whack them. If like that had been allowed during the Gulf War or the war in Afghanistan, those wars wouldn't have lasted freaking 6 months. But, it's the same thing as with Vietnam. If you send a bunch of soldiers into an area, let them soldier, you know? Don't send them over there and then tell them they're not allowed to shoot unless they get fired upon and shit like that. That's just stupid. And then you've got these idiots on the usual networks talking about they don't hate us because of this, or this. They hate us because we killed their daughters in a girls' school. It's like that's a country where they force 9-year-old girls to get married to old men, and they can honor kill their children if they're just not happy with them. It happens, and they believe a religion that actually tells them that it is their sacred and holy duty to take us out. So the person who's on the news talking about it being our fault because those girls got killed, yeah, somebody should slap the shit out of her, something like that, maybe in Minecraft. Or somebody should just tell them, it's like never in my entire life has my country been so overrun by people that I would consider to be just straight up communists. Like they're out on the streets protesting No King's Day and they're waving the hammer and sickle flag. It's just like, it's so weird because they're like, we're against fascism. We want totalitarian, whatever Stalinism is. We're a bunch of tankies. Yay. And it's like, read some history, you assholes, because if communism were to ever get ground in America and get power, the first people that are going are all the people that are protesting right now. Because in every case around the world, anytime a communist government rose to power, the first thing they always do is wipe out all of the revolutionaries because the communist state is terrified of counter-revolutionary people. So, yeah, all the people out on the street protesting and saying how much they want communism, they'd all immediately be rounded up and shot, just immediately. But they're too freaking stupid to realize it. And that's really the issue. Is the United States right now just has an overabundance of stupid people. See, and not to be that guy, back in my day, if you're really stupid, you'd end up dying. Pretty much, that's just how it went. If you're really dumb, you'd end up dying of something. You'd fall out of the back of a pickup truck or something. Something would happen. It'd work itself out naturally. And I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't believe in Darwin's freaking theory, but maybe a little bit of the idea of Darwinism, the survival of the fittest, should be used. Maybe stop turning your young ones into freaking absolute maniacs and let them go out into the world and, if they're really stupid, then it'll take care of itself. I mean, it's sad. It's sad if it happened to one of my kids. I'd be really sad, but I think on the other hand, I might be like, well, if they died in a really stupid way, I might be like, well, probably for the best, I mean, and we're all that way, whether we want to admit it or not. We're all that way. People might say, oh, I'm not that. Yes, you are. Don't lie. Every one of us has laughed at a skateboarder effing up some trick and ripping his testicles off. We've all done it. So the idea of somebody being like, I'm not that way, no, you're not. You're no better. You've probably saw a video of some grandma tripping down the stairs and breaking her hip and laughed your ass off. Because, I don't know if it's like there's something deep down inside of us that's just like, okay, that's funny, I mean, let's face it, humans are the worst, really. We're pretty terrible. Pretty terrible creatures are humans. We're like a bunch of no F's given kind of things from the start. Now there's a million Amelias. I listened to that song earlier. A million Amelias. I love the story of Amelia. The idea that like a group of fuddy-duddy grandmas tried to create a video game to, socially engineer their population, and it backfired on them so hardcore that the supposed bad guy of the video game is like everywhere now, and other countries are copying her and having their own versions. It's like the ultimate example of how stupid the people who want to rule you are. And we let them rule us, I think mainly because of laziness. Like, and I'm not, cutting myself out of that category either. But yeah, I think the main reason we allow what we allow to go on is we're just lazy. Because if we wanted, if we actually wanted the truth about things, we would do something. But we don't. And it's not that we can't, it's just that we don't want to. Because it might interfere with whatever else we want to do. And that is how we are ruled. You don't need like a big chain. You don't need a gulag. You just need a population that's literally too lazy to do anything about anything. And the people protesting, that's just like a that's like a pressure relief valve thing. They're not accomplishing anything. And deep in their hearts, I think they even know it, you know? Like you got some 70 something year old grandma trying to relive the summer of love or some shit. It's like, does she really think anything she's doing matters in the long run? Because if she does, she's stupid. But then again, at that age, I've had to work a lot with people at that age, and the mind slips. So maybe she is stupid. That's one thing about all of these protests is anytime anyone walks up and starts asking people like random questions that anyone should know, they never do. And it's just like, how are these people? It's like, again, no kings, no kings. Yes, we don't have a king. That's why you're out here on the street carrying on and waving Stalinist flags. Because if we had a king, uh, hopefully he'd have enough sense to have you guys beheaded or something, Henry VIII or whatever, right? Like that, you know. You got all these people standing around bitching about kings, and they don't understand that the fact that they're able to complain about it proves they're wrong. Like at a fundamental level, the fact that they can gather together with their grandmas and their Zimmers and their little walkers and their little electric carts and complain about the fact that they don't want kings proves that they're stupid. and we actually, what's extra funny though, I love this one, and any British people who end up watching this, you Brits, man, I love you, but you guys are way worse off than we are. And what's sad is the people who talk the most online, they want to act like you guys are far better when you're way, 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 way worse as far as your rights and stuff. They have crushed your rights. Like the British people fought for the Magna Carta. They're the ones that came up with the idea of universal human rights. And now they're throwing people in prison for memes. And letting foreigners basically run amok on the native population, right? And to be even crazier, there's no king's marches in England, but they're not against Charles or William, they're against Trump. So you have people who live in a country where there is literally, in fact, a king protesting that Trump might be a king. And it's just like, that's an option. I mean, you can do that, I guess. It's stupid, but I suppose you can do that. And until somebody gives me something else to talk about, I'm just going to ramble. So, yeah. And last night in our role-playing game, the guys, how you doing, Victor? Vic, big guy, homie, try not to hate me. But yeah, that's the biggest problem is it's like they're not doing anything. It's like controlled whatever. Like controlled opposition. Because the people who rule us are not on the right or the left. That's the problem right there. People will be like, conspiracy theory. No, it's a conspiracy fact, sirs and ma'ams. The theories are gone. At this point, yeah, don't even try the conspiracy theory shit. That shit went right out the window with all of everything that's been released. Now it's like conspiracy facts. People are doing crazy ass shit, running wild in the streets. And you're going to talk to my boss about this. Uh, she's not going to make me do anything against my will. And yeah. But I appreciate it. And you're right. And yes, before I started this, she and I played another game of Agricola or Agricola. I don't know how to say the game, but, and man, we had a blast, let me tell you. Like, just so much fun. She won, but it wasn't one of those games where you know who's the obvious winner pretty early on, you know. Actually, for like 90% of the game, it looked like I was winning, and then she won. Gonna bet me on this? Vic, you know you're one of my favorite people, man. And all I can say is I'm sorry I let you down. I really did. Believe it or not, I even booked, like, went online to book flights. I had the hotel room picked out, the whole 9 yards, man. I went all the way through it except the end, which is where you actually do something, because I have a severe problem with actually doing things. And, you know, and honestly, the main issue is I haven't left my house without my wife in, I don't remember how long. So, like, if she were able to go, it would be no problem. You know, I mean, I wouldn't like it at first, but then once we got going, I would settle in. But to go somewhere by myself, I haven't done that in 15 years at least. I've kind of forgotten what it's like to even do that, you know? And I'm not, you know, not whining or anything. I'm just saying that's just what it's like, you know? It's strange. What's going on here? Are we okay? We're good. Heard something beeping. Yeah, I do. I do. At some point. And I have an issue. Believe me, I think about it a lot. I have habitated myself to being um, what some people would call agoraphobic. I don't think it's necessarily that I'm agoraphobic. It's just I think that I've habitated myself to just never leaving the house. And because I'm not afraid of, like, the sky or anything weird like that. I'm not like sitting around being like, oh my God. But yeah, like, I bought a bike to get in better shape a while back, and I stopped riding it because I couldn't ride more than a block away from the house, because I'd start, you know, sweating and shit. It's a it's it's a terrible thing, and I see a doctor very, very regularly, and you know, I have a damaged brain from getting my brain cooked on the job, you know. So I guess the good thing is I still get paid, even though, you know, I've been pensioned out. But the bad thing is, yeah, I've pretty much lost the old life that I used to have, you know, spending all day Saturday at a comic shop gaming and stuff like that. It just all went away, you know. It sucks. I'm trying to wean myself off of the medications that they want me to take, because sometimes I feel like they're not helping me, they're just knocking me down. You know, when I look at the meds they've given me, It's like they're not designed to actually make me get over whatever my issue is. They're like horse tranquilizers. So yeah, it's like the goal isn't to make James a healthy James that can go on with the rest of his life. The goal is to knock my ass out so that I can't do anything. And I think that is something that happens with a lot of people in my situation, like, they don't cure you, they just knock you out. And it's like, well, we'll just knock him out and then he can stay at home. And I guess some people, they put on Social Security or something, and some people get pensioned out depending on the job you had. And then they figure, yeah, we'll just let him sit at home until he dies. And then, to quote the guys from Office Space, it'll all work itself out in the end, No need to do anything. It'll work itself out. And I might be weird like this because my attorney told me point blank that the city I used to work for was waiting for me to die. And that's why they refused to settle on the injury. Because it's kind of like in Fight Club. He says how his job is to do the math, to run the numbers. And if it's cheaper to just let people die and pay out than it is to actually do the recall, that's what they do, right? And I'm kind of an example of that, It's like they did the numbers and they realized it's cheaper to just pay me until I die than it would be to just, settle all at once. So that is pretty much what is going down there. And I know there's, a lot of people might want to be like, use this personal information against me, but knock yourselves out. I don't care at this point, I mean, it happened. My brain got cooked. I fell like 20 feet and shattered everything. And they pensioned my ass out early and they refused to settle. So, I get my pay, but they would rather wait till I die than to actually, settle everything out. So I get jerked around all the time. See, this is a grasshopper I painted yesterday and it was all yellow. And now you can see how I've went back and done some black on it because that's the color scheme that I go for with my own personal mercenary unit. Now he still needs the metallics, some of the metallics on him, yeah, and he might still need some dry brushing, but and then I need to put a Merrick purple bird on him, and then it'll be freaking slick, Maybe put like a number on him and then a Merrick purple bird, and call it a day. This guy's going to have black on him too, since he's going in the same unit. I wanted to panel paint him. Before I do his black parts, I'm going to actually do the yellow highlight. Such a perfect day. Dun, dun, dun. Bad animals at the zoo. And then maybe a movie too. And then home. Yeah. Such a perfect day. You made me forget myself. I thought I was someone else. Someone good. Oh, it's such a perfect day. Get this lemon yellow out. I'm glad I spent it with you. And then knock most of it out off on the old palette. Oh, such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. Right? And the colored girls say, "Hey, Hoss, take a walk on the wild side." I said, "Hey, Hossy, take a walk on the wild side." Do 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 do. That's right, brother. I eat fish and I feel sick. You feel too sick to literally just sit on your lazy ass and talk to me? Really? See, now I'm going to complain because it's like there for a moment I had sympathy, but then I remembered that I don't have sympathy. So now I'm like, you know, it sucks that you're sick. It really does. I hate that you're sick. I really do. But that's not really a good excuse to like not hang out. I mean, in my opinion, especially when I'm talking over here talking about bleeding out of my head and shit. You ate some bad fish. Ah, goodness gracious me. So people keep popping in and out and not say anything. And I'm wondering, I wonder if they're people I know or if it's just random people like on X or something that are like, the hell is this guy doing? And then they pop on and they're like, yeah, I'm not interested in any of that. Yeah. Yeah. Are you even still there, Hungar? Or are you still being a bitch? I mean, you'd think you could at least watch, maybe respond. And that does seem like the very least you could do, right? Make me feel like somebody's watching. Tell you what, since the falling out with Bear and now apparently Shadow, um, I think a lot of people have drawn lines, and it's pretty sad. Pretty sad for me, I guess. For me, not really. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah, I had no idea. But some of the stuff I've been hearing is pretty damning. It's pretty damning. It's like, really? So just as well, you know, you have friends and then you have people who say they're your friends, but actually are not your friends. And I would say 99.9% of the people you know on the internet are not actually your friends, no matter how much they say they are. They're actually not. At some point, they're going to unplug and you will cease to exist. You know, Well, there's Tim.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing, Tim?
good. Oh boy. I was,
Well, I thought you had a game tonight.
no. Oh
Oh,
wait, yeah, I do. I forgot. I do.
you do got a game with
Yeah, just
Blood.
no,
No?
not Bloodsworth. Bloodsworth is on Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh,
This
okay.
Tuesday and Thursday too, I think.
Oh,
No, this is the other one with my friends where I'm playing the cleric.
okay. Yeah, I just thought I was a little surprised when I saw you because I was like, I thought.
It's later on, like at 9. Starts at
Oh,
9.
well, okay then.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. So, uh, so yeah, there was that. Thanks for reminding me.
Uh,
I was watching Bloodsworth stream though.
Is he streaming now?
Yeah, both Double D and Bloodsworth started to stream at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
I
Double
know.
D's been streaming a lot. Well, that explains then why I'm not seeing any of the people that I normally see.
True.
I mean, that explains a little bit. There's still other stuff going on, but
Yeah, Double D's doing his Condor DM stuff still, and Bloodsworth is talking about AD&D and the new Wizards of the Coast Greyhawk stuff.
yeah, it's probably going to suck.
Well, here's the thing. It's made by Luke Gygax, and he wrote it before getting the Wizards of the Coast permission.
Right. It's still probably going to suck. I don't have
Fair.
a lot of trust in Luke Gygax.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I'd want to arm wrestle him or anything. Guy's fucking, he's a monster. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but that dude is jacked.
No, I haven't seen him.
He is jacked. I mean, he's impressive.
That's fair.
He's a big old boy, but I don't know. It's like when they were talking all the shit against Gary Gygax, Luke didn't really run to his defense.
Yeah.
And then again, to be fair, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. For all I know, Luke was calling those people up and threatening to beat their asses, right? But just from
Yeah.
where I wasn't seeing anything. So it's possible. I mean, I know he's like he was in the army, he was an officer, he went to one of the Gulf Wars, and he can probably bench like 400 damn pounds. He is, you know, an impressive character, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm totally wrong to judge him on how he acted. But then again, I can be an emotional guy, right? And I am typically a guy of action, not a guy of, like if somebody insults, not now because I'm a grown up and not a little kid, but when I was a little kid, if someone insulted like any female in my family, didn't
Those are
matter,
fight words.
it was on. Like right then, no talking, no bullshitting, fists were getting thrown.
That's a
And
country thing there. That's every countryman. You don't do that.
yeah, you don't do that anywhere in Kentucky because somebody will bust you upside the head. But being in the army, I learned that some people just make fun of each other's moms and they don't care. And then my mom, after I got into a big brawl because someone said something about her, she said, "They don't even know me. Why do you care?" And I started being like, she's right. I mean, you know, this guy said whatever he said, but the fact that I got so mad about it, is that like a way of saying that I'm insecure and I think maybe what he said might be right?
Nah, it's about honor. You don't let
I
people talk
just
shit.
started thinking about it, and so now if somebody says something, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, kiss my ass or something, right? But
It's like how people would talk talk crap about who was it? Cassius Clay's wife, and he didn't just sit down and let it happen. He was like, "No, you got to take that
What kind
back."
of maniac would talk shit about Cassius Clay's wife?
Somebody did. Somebody from Louisville, and it didn't work out well for him.
I mean, we're talking Muhammad Ali, right?
No,
That Cassius Clay or the real Cassius Clay?
real Cassius Clay, Cassius Marcellus Clay.
Okay, you know who you didn't talk about their wife?
Oh,
Freaking Andrew Jackson.
or Andrew Jackson, yeah.
Andrew Jackson, I think, killed like half a dozen dudes for talking shit about his wife. And the shit they were talking was 100% true. He just didn't want to hear it. Well, because it turned out, I guess, Andy Jackson's wife was kind of a whore, you know? Every time he was out on campaign crushing Indians or whatever the hell he was doing, she was getting around, right?
Yeah.
And then he'd come back rolling into town and somebody'd be like, hey, your wife's a whore or some shit. And he'd be like, duel it down, bitch. And, see me, after I saw about the first or second dude get taken out, I think I'd have kept my mouth shut.
You would think some people.
I think I'd been like, well, Andy's in town. I'm just going to lay low.
Same with Cassius
with his wife. I got nothing to do with his wife, and I don't want nothing to do with it.
I mean, you'd think the same with Cassius Clay, because, I mean, somebody shot him in the middle of his speech, and he went down and killed them.
Right. Pulled a pistol out and killed him back or some shit.
No, didn't pull out a pistol. He jumped down with his knife and chased that guy.
That's hardcore. Somebody shoots you and you chase them down and kill them with a knife.
Yeah. He fought off 7 guys, and those 7 guys, actually, one of them took his knife, stabbed him. He took his knife back and chased them all off, killing one of them. Cassius Clay was another one of those certified badasses.
Yeah, but that was like in the 1800s when dudes were like, it was like the law was something you hoped might exist in a town you rolled into, because it might not.
No.
It just depends on how the sheriff or marshal is in that area. He could be a douchebag. And freaking, I know Jim Bowie, apparently he was hiking somewhere, and while he was traveling to where he's going, he got in a fight, ended up killing 3 men. One of them he beheaded with his Bowie knife. One swipe took his head straight off.
Yeah.
And you think about it. You're one guy, you got your buckskin pants and your hat and whatever you got on, and your big freaking knife and a musket, and you're just walking through.
Guys were just built different back then.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, though? You're walking through the wilderness. Anyone you meet could be someone who wants to kill and rob you.
Even in mostly civilized areas, law might not even help you.
Hell, even to this day in parts of eastern Kentucky, I wouldn't, like you get around Harlan and Pikeville and all that shit. I don't know if I'd just wander around in the woods by myself.
I mean, one of these escapades where Cassius Clay did kill a guy, they actually did take him to court, and all they had to say was like, "This is what any respecting Kentuckian would do." And they're like, "Well, okay then, case dismissed."
Yeah, I mean, this is just what we do. All right. Yeah, but people forget. Yeah, from the state that brought you 30 years of killing each other. Yeah. The freaking Hatfields and the McCoys, because the Hatfields are a bunch of scumbags in West Virginia. The only reason that thing ended up ending is, I guess, some Hatfield girl married a McCoy boy, and then they're like, "Well, fuck it," I guess we won't feud anymore since we're family now.
Yeah. Oh
man, my wife and I played that game I'm always talking about, the farm game.
Catan, or what was it? Or, no,
Agricola.
Yeah. Agricola.
Man. I don't know if you've ever played a board game where it was so tight you were sweating. But I was sweating that game out. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm like, I got it. It was like, it could have went either way at any second. And
I played a Monopoly game like that. Although whenever that happens, usually Coke gets spilled on the board.
I long ago, Tim, learned to never play Monopoly with anyone in my family under any
Yeah,
circumstance.
terrible idea.
That is a game that will make you and your family just start hating each other.
Yeah.
Like shit happens in Monopoly that you will never come back from. Like you'll get removed from Christmas card invitations and all that shit.
It's a good thing we
So,
stopped.
so I'm just like, yeah, I don't play Monopoly because people take that shit way too serious, you know?
Hmm.
And my family, much like myself, can be a bunch of hot tempered guys because they all are. And it's not like they're the kind of hot tempered guys that really, I wouldn't say any of my uncles really mean ill towards anybody, but like I used to be, they all have these flash tempers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then by the time they realize what they done, they already done it. And then it's like, it's hard to come back from what you did. And then when my grandma was alive, the next thing you know, you're getting calls from the grandma about, why you thought it was a good idea to break somebody's jaw over a game of Monopoly. And it just messes your whole family up, man. So I just don't even play Monopoly. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, we all quit. It's a bad idea.
And luckily, my wife, she likes to play these games that they're competitive, but not really, because you're not actually competing against any of their players. You're just trying to do better at something. So it's like, worker placement type shit, gather
Yeah.
more corn than they did. And, she don't play war games, even though she did say she was going to play uh, Legion Imperialis with me. She did say that. She would learn that one. She likes to scale. And she's not a huge fan of 40K, but she'll give 30K a try. So, man, I am not doing good with this. I have to touch up some stuff. I was trying to use this panel liner to hit some lines up on this freaking grasshopper, and I am shaking like a freaking leaf in here. You know what I mean?
Not going well, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I've had the shakes my whole life though, so it's weird. People always they're like, your hands shake so much. How do you actually, paint, fire a rifle, do anything like that? And it's like because when I paint, I rest my elbows, and that keeps my hands from shaking. And I don't know why I'm good with a rifle. Honestly, I think that's just years of doing it has made it second nature. Like I was
Yeah.
36 out of 40 in the army, so I was a sharpshooter.
Ah,
I
nice.
didn't get the really fancy badge, the 40 out of 40 one, but I did get the one just below it that had the wreath.
I need
Yeah.
to get out there and practice more.
Yeah. Like, well, I've told you this before, and it's 100% a fact for me. Because of the way I grew up, basic training was nothing.
Yeah.
Because in basic training, we had running water, you know, and they fed us a lot. And so we did some walking and we went out and shot some rifles. And for me, growing up, that was what I did every day for fun. So yeah, basic training, other than getting yelled at by the drill sergeant, because they do that shit.
Yep.
Maybe not as bad as like Lee Emery or whatever was in
Early
Full Metal
army.
Jacket, but they, I'm not. I might have told you this story, and my memory sucks. So if I have, I apologize. We had a guy in our platoon that was a problem. And his particular problem was he would not bathe. I don't know if he had a little wing, or whatever, didn't want to go because it's communal shower, just one wide open room with shower heads. And the secret to using it is keep your eyes up here. Because you don't want to be the guy that's standing in the shower with 30 other dudes checking everyone's dick out. That's just not going to be cool, right?
Yeah.
And so that guy would get punished and he would get punished. And then we started getting punished. And this guy, I remember his name, but I don't want to say it on the off fact that it's been 30 years and I remember his name. Just on the offhand that he might hear this. I don't want to embarrass him now, but basically he smarted off to one of our drill sergeants, Blyden. And since I was his squad leader, and I mean, short of beating him with soap, I had no idea what to do with this guy, right? We finally figured it out, but we went into the drill sergeant office, and it was Blyden and Perkins and me. And they told him he's going to take a shower, or the other drill sergeant and myself are going to say he took a swing at Blyden. And we had to restrain him. And pretty much you get what they're saying, right? Think about it. You went real quiet. Are you thinking about it, or you just don't know what that means? Do I need to spell it out for you?
Might need to spell it out. Yeah.
They were basically saying that we were going to bear false witness that he took a swing at Drill Sergeant Blyden so that we could just fuck him up. Like bad, like beat the brakes off of this guy. Because you take a swing at a drill sergeant, it's all bets off at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're in trouble. So after you catch the ass whipping, you are going to catch. You're going to be in trouble too. So we had to have that talk with him. And then a couple of days after that, all of the guys in my squad, which was 3rd Squad, 100, what were we? We were like 7 and 113th Infantry Training Brigade or whatever. And we drug his ass into the shower manually, and we scrubbed him down with a Brillo pad. And after that, dude took showers. So we didn't pull a Full Metal Jacket, like beating with soap bars or anything crazy, but we did force him to shower. Because, I mean, it was getting like that, When the drill sergeants are literally telling you that, they're going to tell lies just so they can F you up, you have crossed over into a whole new territory of being an idiot. And so honestly, what we did, I would say probably saved his ass. But there's always one like that. And then we lost so many guys in our training battalion anyway, like my training company went in with like 100 guys, 40 graduated. And most of them, it wasn't even their fault, And those guys, they just got sent back to the next rotation because sometimes, you're out there doing your thing and you break your leg. It's not your fault. You just was running through the woods and you freaking tripped on a pine cone or something. And your leg got broke. And so now you can't finish basic training. So they send you back to a holding company and you do whatever they tell you to do. And then when your leg's healed up, they put you in the next cycle. And some people just cry until they send you home, because in basic training, if you cry enough and complain enough, they'll just send your ass home. So, because it ain't for everybody. And I'm not even trying to talk bad about the guys that cried their way out. I mean, they probably had all these thoughts in their head about what it was going to be and got in and it was a pretty harsh wake up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, oh shit, this is not what I thought. You know, this is actual real deal shit, you know? I don't know if they do it now, but when I was in, we had to climb through the mud under barbed wire while they were firing M60s over our head. And I mean, to be fair, the M60s were probably 20 feet up. I don't know, you know. There wasn't really too much of a risk, I don't think, of getting shot, but they did it at nighttime. So while you're crawling underneath all that barbed wire and everything through the mud, and you're low crawling, so that means your face is actually on the ground, and you're going through the mud, and when you look up, you can see the tracer rounds whipping over, you know?
Yep.
It's pretty fucking surreal. You know what I mean? And I can understand how some people might be like, or the rappelling course, that got some people out too. Because they have about a 30 or 40-foot wall and you got to climb up it on like a giant rope net, and you climb to the top, and then you tie your own Swiss seat out of a length of rope, and then they hook you up and you rappel down the wall. And there were some people that are just like, no fucking way, you know? And they're like, all right, you know. So, and again, I don't think they're bad people. They just had a fear of heights. They just, you know,
Just couldn't do it.
just couldn't do it. Their mind would not allow them to do that thing. And yeah, and that doesn't make them bad people. It just means that, you know, yeah, yeah, exactly. Just means that that was just how it is. But damn. Yeah, I was sitting here being like, what in the hell's been going on? And my last couple of live streams have had like one person. And then like the other day, Condor dropped in and he's like, hey. And I told him, I was like, well, if you ever see me on, you can drop in. You know, we'll hash it out. Now I hope the best out of that. Like, I'm going into the whole thing with like an open heart, you know what I mean? Not thinking he's going to try to ambush me or attack me or talk shit or anything like that. And if it turns out to be that way, that'll be okay, you know. I know he's like, I can't believe Double D's online right now talking about him again, though. Not that I have any control or, you know, whatever over Double D. He can do whatever he wants, but it just seems like I wouldn't do it. But if my homie wants to do it, then he can do it. I mean, you know what I mean? What I'm saying here?
Yep.
I mean, that's all him. But I guess I just don't care enough to be overly concerned about it. You know, I mean,
It's content.
Condor might be a perfectly good guy, or theoretically, he could be some kind of sociopath.
But he seems a little weird to me.
Right. But at the end of the day, it will not affect me at all.
Nah, won't affect me either.
Right. Because he's practically as far away from me as a human being can be and still be on the same continent.
Yeah.
And I just don't really care if other people are really talking a lot of shit about me too much. I mean, I do care a little bit, but I'm a big boy. I'll get over it. You know what I mean?
I've had enough people talk shit. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would talk shit about you online.
People's
All
done
you
it.
ever do, really, that I know of, is you come on and hang out with me and we bullshit around.
Back when I was making videos, you know, a couple of people would enter and just go like, "Oh, you're fat" or something. I don't care.
Oh, calling someone fat, that's like the stupidest shit ever. I bet you the guy who called you fat, his mom probably weighs 500 pounds.
I bet
It's
he
like
weighs 500 pounds.
he might even weigh 500 pounds, and he's just, some people just want to hurt people. That's a true story. I don't know why, but there are people who go on this internet of ours, and their only goal is to hurt someone else's feelings. And sometimes, like when Double D goes after those weirdos, they need to be pointed out. But some people, when they just go on and like make fun of you over personal, like not personal, but like shit that you can't help. Really, well, okay, being overweight you could help, but still, that it's kind of like, really, that's what you got. I mean, stop making videos. You're fatty. It's like, what? I'm gonna make twice as many videos now. How you doing, GM Cody?
Yeah, hey.
Just so you know, homie, there's like DM Bloodworth is doing some shit. Double D's doing some shit. So me and Timmy are just sitting here talking hillbilly shit right now.
Yep.
But so yeah, if Condor wants to, and there's a link in there if you want to talk about anything, because we weren't even talking about anything really. But
Nope.
But yeah, Condor says he wants to hang out and interview and talk and shit. I'll do it. And I just hope that he's going into it with like genuine goodwill. And if he's not, you know what I'll do? I'll just be like, this ain't cool and I got other shit to do. And I'll catch you later. And, peace and blessings to you. And, I mean, I won't sit there and let a guy attack me. I'm not going to fight with somebody for hours or whatever. Because that's stupid, right? So.
Now, James, did you see that one video that I posted about that Andrew Wilson, the Crucible, put up? The zombie one.
Yes. Yes.
That was funny.
Not, even though I don't know why this should be true, I do watch your videos when you post them.
Yeah, fair.
Winding down from the day. Yeah, buddy, I feel you, bro. Well, Cody, no expectations. My feelings aren't hurt. I know you work hard. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you that you're always welcome on. You know that. And we could just leave it there. If you want to, you do. And if you don't, no hard feelings for me, brother. You do your thing.
I just like how that video, it like zoomed in on his shirt and it had like all this like libertarian stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like,
And then you posted the Freerin ones, but they're from the freaking abridged or whatever.
Oh man, those are funny.
They are.
Grimjack makes hilarious versions of those.
He does.
Feeds.
And I saw the worst thing ever on Steam.
What's that?
Goblin Den. There's a video game on Steam called Goblin Den, right? Do you know what you do in the video game?
It sounds like you're the goblins in Goblin Slayer.
You're the goblins in Goblin Slayer.
I got it right.
And so your job is to go out and kidnap human women and then truss them up in your thing so that you can use them to reproduce more goblins.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it's a Japanese game, so it's all that weird shit. But yeah, I was on there seeing if there was DLC for Mansions of Madness, and that popped up. And at first I thought, a Goblin Slayer game. That'd be cool. And then I looked at it and I was like, what am I looking at? This is pornographic. And I keep forgetting that Steam started like actually selling pornographic games.
Yeah, they have adult games on their store now.
Because they didn't used
to. Be careful.
Yeah.
No, they used to not have that.
And so, like, if you were to go to Steam, man, it literally shows like the goblins they're goblinating. And I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
I wonder if you could just like block it from showing up now.
Probably, but
Should be some settings for
I
that.
don't know how to do that. Kind of like how you guys always make fun of me because I don't have ad blocker. Because every time I'm talking about some ad popping up, everybody's always, "You see ads?"
You see
I'm
ads?
like, "Yeah."
You
Well,
want
you
ad
got
blocker?
this, and I'm like, I don't even know how. What are you talking about?
I think if you just switch over to Brave, you have ad blocker automatically.
Brave?
It's a what do you call it? Internet.
You see, I don't even know what that is.
It's like if you have Google Chrome or
Okay, so
Firefox
it's like one of those. Okay,
web
because I
browsers.
think I use the one that came with the computer.
Wow, you use you use Explorer or now it's Edge?
I think Explorer, yeah.
It's Edge now, so unless it's an old computer, you use Edge.
Yeah, it's whatever came with the computer. Like I do know a long,
Nobody
long
uses
time
that.
ago when my buddy Marcus was still alive, he would always build my gaming computers for me
Yeah.
because that was his job. He built computers and all that. And he would always put on whatever I needed.
Hmm.
So kind of it made it where I don't actually know how to do anything because my best friend used to do everything for me.
What you need to
So
do, here's the easy part. You just type into a search engine, Brave, and then download Brave.
okay,
And then you'll have a way better web browser.
okay, I'll look into that then later when I get off this.
Yeah.
Which remember tomorrow, probably between 4 and 6.
You'll be streaming.
That's when I actually stream. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens. Um,
Because the biggest joke about Explorer or even Edge now is all it's used for is to download another web browser, and then it's never touched again.
yeah, I can totally see that because it's like I don't know. It's like other than this and YouTube, I honestly don't do anything online really.
Yeah.
Other than maybe playing a game. And to play a game for me, a lot of times it's just a matter of double clicking on a thing,
Fair.
and being
Although
like, let it load, right? And then I'm like, cool.
you know what's really weird?
What's that?
You could really play the original Command and Conquer in a web browser.
Dude, like if you go to GOG, like all of those old school DOS games are there.
Yeah.
And you can like it automatically sets up like a DOS simulator or some shit.
Yeah.
And you're playing like on your browser with it. You've heard my rants on all that though. How
I get it.
if
But
I
I
had
do
enough
find it.
money, I would buy the rights to all of those games, and I would hire the guys to like update all of them,
Fair.
but not the game, just the graphic and the interface. But I would leave everything else about the game, like how it plays and stuff, for the most part, exactly as is, because those games were pretty much perfect.
Fair. But again, I
Well,
just
I
found it.
mean, you played not on the computer, I don't think, but in real life, you played Full of Radiance, right?
Yeah, I went through Full of Radiance, almost finished it. It's literally
It's
like at the
Ruins of
very end.
Adventure is what they call it on if you get it the book, right? It's Ruins of Adventure, I think.
I wouldn't know that. I just played Pull the Radiance. We call it Pull the Radiance because that's what the guy who adapted it to RuneQuest made it as.
I wonder if he used the computer game and just adapted it for a role playing game,
I'm
because you
saying,
could do that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. I think that's what he did.
Yeah, because the computer game came with like a badass good map of the region and of the town, and like told you what was where, and And if you had played through it like I had, then you knew that in the one plaza there was a shit ton of hobgoblins, and if you go into the library, there's some wraiths and shit.
There were ghosts in the library. I think he changed that, but yeah.
Well, you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
I played the computer version when I was a teenager, but I can still remember, like, if you go into the graveyard, it's like there's like a concentric circle around the vampire's tomb. It's like the outer layer, you keep encountering skeletons, and then you encounter zombies. And the closer you get, it goes to like from zombies to like whites, and then from whites and eventually in the cross-shaped tomb you find the vampire, but he's got another coffin.
Yeah, in ours, the vampire wasn't there, but his hand was.
Somebody got his hand, huh? Got your hand. Yeah, I mean, that was actually, I think the vampire might have been the toughest part of the computer Pull of Radiance game.
Which my cousin did the stupid thing and attached that hand to his arm.
Well, what do you think? It was Vecna?
Well, it worked kind of like it did work like that, I guess, where he could actually use it properly. But there were certain chances that it would, I think, try to kill him.
Yeah, he's got an evil hand.
Yeah.
Attached to his stump.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows, especially if you've ever watched Evil Dead, that when your hand goes evil, you got to cut it off.
Yeah.
Right? That's what Ash did. His hand went evil. He had to cut it off with a chainsaw. And then it ran around and tried to kill him after he cut it off. So, yeah, luckily, you don't do that.
Luckily for my cousin, it didn't turn evil, and in fact, no longer is a vampire hand now. Because of other certain shenanigans. It's a dwarf hand.
Oh, man. Last night, when we were gaming, there was a cavalcade of like the worst rolling I've ever seen in my life. Oh, boy. Like Haas rolled a 1, and then the next time I asked him to roll on a die 20, he rolled a 2. And then the next time he rolled a 3. And I was like, are you going for a straight? Like, what are you doing, right? And everyone, I shit you not, they went into this one room that led to a temple of Cthulhu, right? Not Cthulhu, right, but Cthulhu, right? And there was a curse or a trap, a magical trap, basically, on the room, the antechamber leading into the main room, right? And what it did is it made you really paranoid. You had to make like a saving throw versus transformation or whatever, or it would make you really paranoid. Like you felt like someone was right behind you staring into the back of your head, right? Every one of them failed. So they had to run out of the room. And once they ran out of the room, it went away. Like only one of them got close enough to look through the open doors into the temple. And then ran away, which the temple, the way I described it was, they couldn't tell if the corners were like convex or concave. And like all the shapes looked weird and hurt their eyes to look at. Like they didn't know, like basically non-Euclidean geometry. So the geometry in this room did not match reality. You see what I mean? So like to your eyes, it might look like a corner that's going in, like you can go stand in a corner, right? But in reality, it's a corner with the point out because everything looks fucked up. And of course, there was a lot of treasure in there, but they could never get in there because it just failed their saves. And eventually, after they all 8 of them failed like their saves, they decided, let's just go down the staircase. And I'll tell you what, Haas was getting frustrated. And he's like, I think I'm just going to quit and become a freaking potato merchant because, everybody was acting scared. And he's like, we're adventurers. Let's go do adventure stuff or whatever. And So they decide to go down the staircase, which went down like a couple hundred feet. And of course, the scout knows, because one of the scout's abilities is they can know how deep they are underground. And they found an old copper door, like the door on a submarine, you know? Like it was like literally like a bulkhead door that you had to spin or whatever to open. And the whole thing was made out of copper, and it had like ancient calcified barnacles and all that sort of stuff on it, right? So that freaks them out. Of course, they start arguing with each other about if they open the door, it's going to flood them and they're all going to die. And all this sort of thing. And the reason for this is they're actually in a very ancient Atlantean temple. And, the ancient Atlanteans, according to this world, one of the gods they worshipped was the dreamer that is under the ocean. So Cthulhu, the great dreaming god or whatever, right? And so Haas's character finally gets pissed, and he says, I'm opening this freaking door, and he spins it open. And on the other side, it's no longer like fitted stone with engraving dungeon. It's cavern. So they're all like, okay, we're in natural caverns 400 feet deep. And they go in there and they could just make out like 20 sets of eyes or some shit, right? And so regardless, because Haas started calling the shots and he's like ultra violent, like fucking Judge Dredd, they get in a scrap with a bunch of troglodytes. And the troglodytes do their whole stink cloud thing that they can do, right? And half the group fells are saved, so they're getting penalties to everything because they're gagging and throwing up because the troglodytes smell like freaking ass. And they end up killing them down to like 3 were left, and those 3 failed their morale check and surrendered. And amazingly, Leth, you will be amazed to hear this. The cleric didn't immediately start bashing their skulls in. He actually let them live. So there is that, right? There is that. So they asked the troglodytes who spoke basic common what was down in that region. And they heard about ghouls, ghasts, gugs, various things, right? And so, of course, the party's sitting there and they're like, what in the F is a gug? And the mage is like, hey, I'm a mage and I'm really smart and I studied. So can I make a roll to see if I know what a gug is? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? That's something, right? And so the ghoul, or he described what a gug was to the party, which is basically this. This is a gug. You notice it ain't really got a head. It's just got a big mat. Yeah, it's about the size of a hill giant. And the mage, because he rolled a nat 1 on his intelligence check, because in Hyperborea, they use a lot of like attribute checks and stuff like that. Usually they're like, one of the attribute checks is on a dice 6, and then the exceptional attribute check is a percentile check, right? But so he knew that at one point in history, the Gug, at least this is what I told him, because I could have got the story wrong. The Gug had worshipped the Sagwa, and they had been really intelligent, and they had lived on the surface and built cities and the whole 9 yards, right? And then at some point, they started worshiping Cthulhu, and it pissed Tasagwa off so bad, he made them all stupid and banished them into the deep underdark of Hyperborea. They can never come up. Like if you were to drag one to the surface, it would just die. And they can't have a civilization anymore because they're too stupid. It's like they went from being like you or I level of intelligence, let's say, or maybe even smarter than us a little bit, to being like 60 IQ idiots. So their whole civilization is destroyed. And that's also how I explain some of the giant ruins that are around. Is at one point the Gugs, before they got turned stupid, had built these gigantic cities, but now they're under there, and all they do is travel around and try to eat people. And despite the fact that they're so big, they're really good at stealthing around. You know what I mean? Like they're good at ambushing. They can be really quiet, and their mouth attack works like a Vorpal sword.
Oh boy.
So yeah, like I think a nat 19 or 20, you lose a limb or a head right off the bat.
Yep.
So I didn't tell them that part. I just told them that they're known to like jump out and bite people in half and shit. And so the players all decided to immediately go back through that copper door and shut it. Went all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon and decided instead of taking the left, they would go take the right. Because the dungeon stairs came down and it was a T junction. And they took the left and went through all this shit. They got attacked by a demon possessed zombie, and that tweaked them out because it looked like a zombie, but it was possessed by a lesser demon. They're like, what the, you know? And again, this is one of the reasons I'm such a huge fan of Hyperborea, is because you can do like, I mean, you can do it in any game really, but Hyperborea really leans into it. You know what I mean? Like just the weird shit.
Just the crazy stuff. It
Yeah,
reminds me
right.
of my RuneQuest games.
Yeah,
There was
it's
some
just
weird
like,
crap in that.
oh yeah, you know what the weird stuff is? I didn't tell you this, I don't think, or maybe I did. The fighter in the group has a laser pistol. It only has 19 shots left, and he don't know that because he don't know what it is. He just knows if you hold it a certain way and you point it and pull this button that it shoots a crimson beam of like electricity that does a shit ton of damage. Like if you shoot somebody, they got to make a a sorcery save. If they make the save, they take 3d6. If they don't make the save, they take 6d6 damage.
Ooh.
So yeah, this is, and one of the guy who ended up taking the wand, he got shot by it, and he made a save though. So and he took a bunch of damage though. He's like, what the fuck? But and it has writing all over it, but it's a very, very ancient form of Atlantean. So the Atlantean player in the group, he can't read it. It'd be like you or I trying to read like ancient Old English or something like that. But he knows it's an Atlantean weapon. And that is because in Hyperborea, before Atlantis got wrecked, they were like space age technology, like even above us now. They were like, well, like I just told you, laser pistols and shit.
Kind of
And
like
then,
Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
right. And then they got wrecked, and 90% of Atlantis got sucked under the ocean for pissing Cthulhu off. But a tiny part of Atlantis got thrown through time to Hyperborea. However, the Atlanteans that survived the Great Apocalypse, they forgot all their technology. And they're just barely kind of hanging on. They've got their little island on the edge of the continent, and they're constantly wanting to recover the technology, but it's not happening. So a lot of people who know history in the game, characters that know history in the game, not the players, they go out of their way to try to raid ancient Atlantean tombs because they know they're going to find these ancient Atlantean artifacts, some of which
could be very useful.
Right. So the fighter's got the thing. He don't know that it's got limited ammo. There is an area where he might be able to find another magazine for it, but we'll see if they even go there. But until then, I mean, he's got a 19-shot laser pistol. And, but like I said, they don't know it's a laser pistol. He thinks it's a wand. And honestly, they made a mistake with their characters because the mage wanted it, but he didn't have weapon proficiency to use it. So he decided to let the fighter have it because fighters have weapon proficiency with every weapon, except the mage turned level 4 a week ago. And at level 4, a player can choose any new weapon to have proficiency in. So the mage could have chosen to be proficient with
That
just
laser pistol.
right. And so that was kind of a messed up thing because, I mean, but it's like I said, if they don't figure out exactly how it works and get magazines for it, it doesn't matter anyway.
Doesn't really matter anyway.
They're going to fire it however many times, and then it's going to just be a super expensive chunk of ancient 2,000-year-old Atlantean metal, which is like a bluish swirly color. And
they might be able to sell it to the Brotherhood of Steel.
I mean, they'll be able to sell it for a lot of money to a mage or something for sure.
Yeah.
Whether it has ammo or not, it's still, a laser pistol. And you have mages that do nothing all day but sit around trying to figure out how the ancient Atlantean technology works, So, so that's a thing that's going on in the game.
It kind of reminds me.
What's that?
It kind of reminds me how one of my characters actually got like a Derringer pistol in our RuneQuest game, and what I did was trade it to the dwarves for a regular like flintlock pistol.
See what's wild, like, because self, introspection, I guess, a little bit of thinking about things about myself. I never would have allowed this in an OSC or AD&D game. But because in Hyperborea it actually makes sense, I allow it. And the mage is doing a lot of research. He's trying to study up on like what they call old Earth, which is like you and me right now, except a million years in their past.
Yeah.
So, Hyperborea, the rules are like AD&D, but way better. And the setting is like Gamma World, but way better. Because it's got Lovecraft and Clark Ashton Smith and all that in it. So the idea of going into some deep, dark dungeon and finding some sort of super ancient like technology that your player will never understand how this shit functions actually makes perfect sense in relation to the world. You see what I mean? Whereas if you do it in like an AD&D campaign, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like how you had the expedition to Barrier Peaks, and it just never felt right to me in AD&D, like a crashed spaceship in the middle of the mountains.
Technically, it could happen, but
yeah, it could happen, but it just didn't feel right. But the fact that Atlantis at one time had been a super high, tech society and then got destroyed by the will of an ancient god or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that makes sense, I mean, especially since I already believe in the idea of cyclical civilizations anyway, which is pretty much what goes around keeps going around.
Well, how do you feel about time traveling wizards?
No time travel.
No time travel? Okay, fair enough, I guess.
But maybe time travel.
Because that's how I got the Derringer. There was a wizard apparently who, meddles around with time, it seems. And one thing I found was that Derringer in his stuff.
Yeah, in some games they call that those chronomancers.
Yeah.
Which is a mage that just studies time. I have to go back on my no time travel thing because at one point, I think I said to you, you might not remember, that there's a possibility that the player characters in my campaign could encounter H.P. Lovecraft himself.
Fair
just by assuming that he didn't actually die, he either got sucked through time and space by these gods that he created that it turned out were real. So that goes with the theory some people like to postulate that Lovecraft didn't create the great old ones. He was just sensitive
Dreaming it.
and he dreamed it, but it turned out his dreams were real.
Yeah. He
And
had
that
vision.
makes a little in game, that makes a little bit of sense because Cthulhu is called the god who dreams or the dreaming god, right?
Yeah.
And that's how he communicates with his cult is he sends them dreams. But
Now with RuneQuest, he could muddle with time all the time, and it's kind of a thing in the game. With the Hero Quest, that literally is just you muddling with time, and
really,
there were like certain groups who would do that. It was so bad that the people got tired of that and killed them off for doing it. Like, stop it.
Well, the way the cosmology of AD&D is set up, in theory, you could make the argument that our Earth is a parallel material
Plane.
plane, and then you could jump from Greyhawk to Earth. And that actually happened in the official setting. The paladin Merlin got shot through dimensions and ended up in the old west of Earth. And then by the time the other characters in that group of wizards Gary Gygax ran got him back, he had become like the sheriff of the town and carried like 6-shooters. And when they brought him back with his 6-shooters, one of the wizards enchanted the pistols to never run out of ammo. So yeah, you had a character running around Gary Gygax's game. One of the characters that one of his at his table played with a pair of Colt 45s, but enchanted to never run out.
Now in Greyhawk, wasn't there another wizard who actually went to our world and started using the fantasy world to make movies? And other
There
worlds?
could be. See, like I ran Greyhawk pretty much straight. So my version of Greyhawk's pretty much just like Pendragon,
Fair.
except Greyhawk. But you know, it's heroic knights fighting monsters, right?
Or like
But Gary Gygax's version of Greyhawk was fucking weird. There was like a city full of androids and like everything that you think is an artifact in the book is actually technology. Like there's a thing called the okay, I forget the name of it, but basically it's a submarine. And it's got a bunch of levers, and every time you pull a lever, it does something. And like one lever makes legs come out, one lever makes a lobster tail come out. And if you figure out how to pull the levers, then this freaking thing will just go right into the ocean and you can go all over the place, right? It's technology.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was ever like an actual like gun in any of the treasure lists, right? But in Hyperborea, radium pistols and shit like that are on the random treasure chart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which means that there's enough of them around that they're on the thing instead of being like some kind of like one-off thing. So the Greek fighter, because he's a Greek, that originated in Sparta, but when Sparta was destroyed, what actually happened when the volcano went off and destroyed Lycodemia on Earth, a lot of them got thrown through time and ended up in Hyperborea. So there's still a Sparta, it's just in Hyperborea, and there's only like, you know, maybe 5,000 of them. So they're just hanging on, you know. Yeah. And the Legion that Rome lost, they're in Hyperborea. You know how they always talk about the missing Legion?
Yeah. You know,
it's in Hyperborea.
If I played Hyperborea, I think I would have wanted to be a Legionnaire.
Yeah. I made one, a straight up human fighter equipped in like segmented armor, like Lorca Segmenta, big, large shield. He had a short sword. He carried javelins and darts. And I mean, it was just a straight up Legionnaire. He spoke Latin. Um, and that's basically Hyperborea. Like any civilization on Earth that just vanished, you can make the argument that they're on Hyperborea a million years in the future somehow. Because even though we have to respect time and space, apparently the great
Hyperborea
old
doesn't.
ones don't.
Yeah.
They can, like what's his name? Yog Sothoth is the master of time and space. So he can just do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you literally can play. Like let's say I had a player at my table that was just damned and determined to want to play an elf. I could allow it. And I could just say that he was some kind of weird creature from some weird dimension, like a one-off, no one ever seen one. I mean, I wouldn't want to, and I'd try and talk the player out of it vociferously. But that's
Sure.
the thing with Hyperborea, though, is like all of this shit could be because you're dealing with a bunch of fickle. I mean, they're not even evil. Like
Nope.
the Yog Sothoth, right? The god of time traveling or whatever, the great old one. He's not actually a god. It's just this
No,
ultra powerful being. He's neutral. So he's not evil. He just doesn't care. And like the one that lives deep underground and sits on a big pile of skulls and shit that Haas's character worships, neutral.
that one
So
might
Willie
not be so neutral, I guess.
Cthulhu is not neutral because his whole deal is to one day rise up and destroy everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, Ares, the Greek god of murder and bloodshed, is not neutral. He's chaotic evil,
Yeah.
and he lives in the Underdark. So that was another thing. The players, depending on how far they journey around the Underdark, theoretically they could run into great old ones down there, like Atlak Naka, the god of spiders. Ares, which is called something else, but it's Ares, and he's down there and he's protected by 5 demon lords and all this kind of shit. I mean, hell, they for all I know, they very well could have rubbed shoulders with a god at a tavern since the game started, and I'm the DM, so I could just say they did. Because the one god, Rao, is Hermes in disguise. And unlike the other Greek gods who typically kind of stay away from humanity, Hermes freaking loves humanity. So he lives in cities and he has a tendency to go from one city to the next. Because, it's Hermes. He's always traveling around, getting into shit, right? So literally, the players could sit in a tavern next to Hermes having a beer and they wouldn't know because it's not like Hermes is going to do something that would let them know. He's just going to, have his beer and then do whatever the hell he's doing. And I think he's neutral too, or maybe chaotic good. But yeah, like my wife's character worships Thor. Thor exists. You know what I mean? There is a Thor. Like almost all of the Greek gods exist, which means the Roman gods exist. And then on top of that, you've got all the great old ones that exist. So again, the weirdest game you played when you got like the shopping network and all that crazy shit, with a little bit of adjustment, would fit in Hyperborea seamlessly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of Hyperborea. You can play it straight, you can make it. See, I've decided to lean hard into the Cthulhu aspects of Hyperborea. So the characters have encountered some crazy shit, like stuff that if they looked at it too long would make them insane. Like one of the characters, the Amazon, part of her long black hair is white now, which she decided, cool, she's rocking the rogue look from Marvel, right? But she found an altar, or not an altar, a little statuette of one of the great old ones. And of course it cursed her. And how it worked is basically every night she possessed it, allowed the being to contact her more closely, you know what I mean, in her dreams, is Cthulhu. And eventually, like every night, she dreamed of being underwater. And then as time was going on, she started dreaming of seeing a gigantic city under the water. And then she started dreaming about seeing a gigantic gate under the water, right? So basically, this thing was drawing her into the dreamlands and to R'lyeh, which is where Cthulhu is entombed, right? And eventually she would have lost her mind and just been gone, an empty shell. But a witch in the party, the witches, they have all kinds of wild abilities, did this thing to break the curse. It worked, but it left her with a whole shock of her hair that is pure white and will always be pure white. And I did that because she barely made her save. So I wanted her to feel it. You know what I mean? Now, how would you feel if something like that happened in your game?
I'd be okay. I mean, that'd be interesting.
I mean, but see, that's why when people talk shit about me liking Hyperborea, it's like, but that's why I like it, because
things could just be there to be
well,
interesting.
because I've been trying to get my group to play Call of Cthulhu more seriously, and they'll play one shots and stuff, but they don't really want to play Call of Cthulhu, right?
I
And
would
like,
like to, man. I would like to play Call of Cthulhu again.
yeah, right. And you already know the rules.
Yeah.
So like 3 games back, we're sitting there playing, and they got into a fight with something that was very Cthulhu-ish, and my wife defeated it because she's the baddest ass in the group, the berserker. When it comes to combat, she can't do anything else. Um, I laughed, and she's like, "What?" And I said, "All this time, I begged you to play Call of Cthulhu, and you didn't want to do it, and here you are playing Call of Cthulhu." And she's just started laughing because, you know, it was what it was. They're fighting like cultists of an elder god that actually not only exists in Hyperborea, but exists in Hyboria, which is the world Conan lived in. Yog, who is the god of beasts and monsters and cannibalism. So that cult of Eskimo that all filed their teeth sharp and were kidnapping people and eating them. Yeah, that's straight from like Clark Ashton Smith and R.E. Howard. And that's what I was arguing with Shadow about when we were talking about Conan, about how what he says about Conan doesn't hold up because Conan existed in a shared universe. And in theory, Conan could be in Hyperborea, because how do we know he didn't get sucked through time from Hyboria a million years in the future to Hyperborea, which is floating in space around Saturn? You see what I mean?
You never
Like the
know.
players could run into Conan. They could run into H.P. Lovecraft. They could run into anyone from any of those books. The Wheatleys, any of the monsters or evil people from any of the books. Thulsa Doom could be the main bad guy of the Hyperborean campaign, because you could just say because he lived in the time of King Kull. So you could say that he found his ring of power and then used it to throw himself through time when Earth was being destroyed, right? During one of the great cataclysms, and he ends up on Hyperborea. And as an undead wizard, he sets up a kingdom. You know what I mean? And there's even a kingdom that's kind of like that. It's ruled by wizards, and like there's more undead there than there are living people. And yeah. So basically, I'm just repeating myself in fancier ways. You get it. You're smart. You get it. You understand why I like it, because I can do whatever I want. And
Yeah.
no one can question it. Like if you have players that want to question, why this and why that. In Hyperborea, they can't because, I mean, they're already living on a world where the sun is a large red sphere that doesn't really give off a lot of light, and most of the year doesn't even rise above the horizon very much. And when they're standing out in this town square and they look up, they see Saturn, like actual the rings and everything. Saturn's the biggest thing in
In the
that they
sky.
can see. It's bigger than the freaking sun, right? And the world's flat. And everybody knows it's flat. And everybody knows that if you sell a ship over the edge of the world, you fall into the outer darkness and you're dead. So whatever you do, don't try to sell off the edge of the world because you know there's no coming back from that shit. You're gone. What people don't know is how thick is Hyperborea. Like, you know, and apparently it's pretty thick, like miles thick. But it exists. Like, think about, okay, you know how I'm a stickler for gravity, and I always argue about gravity in sci-fi.
Yeah.
Well, in Hyperborea, how is there gravity?
I do not know.
No one does. That's the thing. How? Because the great old one said there was.
Yes.
And in
Actually,
Hyperborea, you
ac-
can actually survive on Saturn.
actually, James, you know what it is? The great old ones actually are the gravity wells. They're the
Could
one
be
that cause
because
the gravity.
so some of them could be so like massive that yeah they generate gravity. But yeah, in the Hyperborean setting, if you could find a way to teleport to Saturn, you could survive there. You'd have to bring food though, or learn to eat the fungus that lives there. And Saturn is like super cloudy, so you can't see anything really. And it's just nothing but ashes, and really the only thing that grows is fungus and stuff. And there's like a tribe of humans that has no head, so like their eyeballs and everything are on their chest, and like once every however many they pick some males to reproduce with a female, and the female gives birth to like the whole next generation of these guys, right?
Okay, then.
But
That's weird.
after the mating, when they're 100% sure she's pregnant, the males are killed and they're turned into like a meat stew and fed to her. And the one thing that these people want more than anything is to have a head again because they used to. And somehow over time they lost their head and right. So if a human were to find themselves on Saturn, these people would 100% try to convince the human to reproduce with a female, hoping that the next generation would have a head like a normal human, but they'd also try and kill you and feed you to her. So, you know, there's that. And there's no water, there's actually mercury is instead of water. So if you don't figure out how to get moisture from the fungus, you'll just die because, you know, take a big glug of freaking mercury and that'll be the end of you. You know what I mean? That's what killed the first emperor of China.
Yeah,
So, so yeah, though, you see what I mean? How I'm talking about how it's weird, and then like
definitely.
there's two moons that circle a Saturn that Hyperborea sees, and one of the deities, I think, what is the Greek goddess of hunting? Apollo's sister.
Artemis, wasn't it? No, not Artemis.
I think it's. Hey, how you doing, William Silva? Um, Demeter.
Was it Demeter? Maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, Apollo's sister that was a virgin and turned people into deers and hunt them down and shit like that. She lives on one of the moons that circles. So if your player characters could ever figure out a way to get to that moon, they'd be effed because there's a angry Greek goddess up there that hates men for some reason.
It hates Finn
Yeah.
and wants to turn them into deer to hunt them.
And will turn them into deer and hunt them down. Yeah. Because they were all for the most part assholes, every one of them. The Romans, when they Romanized the Greek pantheon, it was Artemis. So you were right.
Artemis. Okay.
Yeah, like when the Greeks Latinized, or when the Romans Latinized the Greek gods, it actually made them like better, as far as morally better.
Yeah.
What's up, Daniel? How you doing, bro? So like Ares become like this honorable god of war and honor and all this shit, right? In the Greek mythology, he's the god of bloodshed and murder, right? And he whines and bitches and cries to his mom all the time. Also, he's banging another god's wife, but that guy can't do anything about it, because when he does finally capture Ares in a net, freaking Zeus makes fun of him for him not being able to keep his wife from cheating on him, and lets Ares go. But yeah, in Latin, he's Mars, and he's actually, an honorable, good god of warriors, Down Eros, up Mars. And Eros is love. So in Latin, that would be like saying down love, up war. And I only know it because I watched Ben-Hur a lot. So.
And isn't Eros a certain type of love too? It's like the
there's actually a god who was named Eros.
Okay.
I mean,
I might be thinking of Greek actually, because Greek had 4 words for love. It was like agape. Shoot, can't remember.
Right. Well, I mean, what's her name? The one they found in the ocean, the goddess of beauty and whatever. And they married her to Ares.
Goddess of beauty.
No, they married her to Hephaestus, but she was always banging Ares.
Aphrodite,
right. So in Hyperborea, the game, all of these things are probably there.
Yeah.
And then like the black goat of the wood with 1,000 young is 100% there. Shub-Niggurath is there. And is like one of the most popular gods. And so is Nyarlathotep. So, the walking madness or whatever they call him in Cthulhu, he's there too, and has a cult that worships him openly, and Thesagua is one of the most worshipped gods by humans. And he's just a big fat dude that sits on a pile of skulls deep underground. So yeah, that was the thing with Greek gods. They would be like in charge of like really disparate things. Like, yeah, it'd be like the goddess of harvests and sandals. Oh, you're going to watch Nosferatu? I have not watched it, but I've heard it's really good. The last movie I watched, Holy Diver, that had vampires in it was Sinners, and I loved it. Sinners? I mean, I turned it on and I thought it was going to be this preachy movie about poor old black people after slavery in the South being mistreated, and it's nothing like that. It's like, so like if you ever saw it and you think it's going to be some preachy movie about how bad shit was, like Roots Part 2 or some shit, no.
It seemed like that to me, especially since it made the main character a hedonistic crazy person.
Okay, who do you think the main character was?
That one son of that preacher who wanted him to stay and preach. Yeah.
So, do you remember what Sam was?
What?
In the beginning of Sinners, it says that in these different cultures, there's a kind of person who, through music or art, can contact their ancestors, like actually contact them. Sam came from the African tribe where that was a thing, and he was one of those things. Remick, you remember who Remick is, right? The vampire, the Irish guy.
Yeah.
He was a 1,000-year-old vampire. He was one of them too, because those kind of people existed in certain African tribes, the Irish, and certain Indian tribes. like Choctaw or some shit. They were called Fire Watchers by the Choctaw. They were called like the Fear in Ireland, and then in the African tribe, they're called a thing. That's why the vampire wants Sammy so bad. Because when he became a vampire, he lost the ability to talk to his ancestors. If you paid attention, you'd have got that. You need to rewatch the movie.
With that, they did try to seem like to paint the Christians as the evil people. I mean, I even had the one white woman
Only
who
if
wanted
you
to be
think the
black.
Klansmen were the Christians.
No, like even with the father of that one guy, they tried to paint him as trying to hold them into this unnatural like culture.
Oh, that's just what the Louisiana witch was saying. Who gives a shit what she is saying? It was basically, I get what you're saying now that you mention it, but I don't think his dad was a bad guy. He just didn't want his son to grow up and be a blues man. Because, you know, back in
and
those
get into
days,
a lot of
Robert
like really
Johnson and
hedonistic
shit like
stuff.
that.
It seemed because a lot of
Well,
it was
he
about
wanted his
drugs and
son to
all that
play
stuff.
music, but he wanted his son to play for the church
Yeah.
and not dives and speakeasies. Because nothing good ever happens in dives and speakeasies, right? So he's just worried about his son. I don't think it was anti-Christian, really. And believe me, Leth, if it were, I would have known. And I'd have been like, yeah, F you guys. Because I take that shit serious. I don't think that was the real message.
Maybe, but it did like seem like
you
it
gotta
sometimes.
admit the end was really good too, which I won't ruin for Holy Diver. But so Holy Diver, the movie Sinners, I gave like 2 thumbs up and like one of my big toes up. I liked it. I thought it was great. The music was good. The characters were good. The acting was good. Like everything in it was good. That there was literally, in my opinion, Left disagrees, nothing bad. And, you know, nothing bad at all. And the ending was freaking good. Everything about it was good. I was so shocked because I was watching something else on HBO and it just automatically started Sinners. And I was just laying in the bed being too lazy to find the remote. And I started watching it at first. I'm like, oh, here we go. Woe is me. And then it started going. I was like, I got interested in it. And the next thing you know, I was like, damn, this movie is good. You know, like it's actually really good. And I was shocked, but no, it's worth your hour and 45 minutes or whatever. I'll tell you that. And it's vampires, so you'll like it. Because I know you like vampire stuff. I do too. And the vampires in this movie are super creepy and super cool. So, yeah, but I've already probably given too much away. I apologize. But I'm glad to see you. It's unfortunate that I'm getting ready to log off. I got to go take a shower and wash that ass whipping my wife put on me off. Swear, man. Every time I think I'm going to win, she okey dokes me. She is the queen of the okey doke. I can't be mad at her, though. She went out today. There was this new Cuban restaurant opened up not far from us. And she went out and got me a Cuban sandwich and some plantains. And it was like freaking, so hell yeah. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. It's good. And because me and my brother are so close, my heart really went out to the brothers in the movie. You know what I mean? There's a lot of emotion there. And it'll suck you in. And the next thing you know, you're not exactly 100%. By the time the movie's over, you're not 100% sure exactly who the baddest bad guy was. Because there's many bad guys, but you're not sure. And in my opinion, I will spoil this much. I don't think the vampire was. The main bad guy. I don't think he was. But I'm not going to say any more about it. William Silva, I'm telling you. If I'm overhyping it. Oh, yeah. Razor Fist shouted me out like every now and then when I make Battletech stuff, Razor Fist will shout me out. And this might be weird, and I don't know if Razor Fist cares or not about this, but Razor Fist and I in BattleTech support the same great house. We're both Free Worlds League, Purple Bird, House Merrick. You know what I mean? And unlike 40K, where people will have 25 armies and swap armies to play whichever one's the most powerful in whichever set, except for me, because I played Blood Angels. That was the only Marines I played. Blood Angels, Lamenters, which are just Blood Angels in yellow. In BattleTech, when you're talking Gen X BattleTech players, people about my age, they tend to pick one house, and that is what they play until they die. Oh, the media over. See, I saw it, and I was just like, I don't know. When I saw it, I thought it was going to be like, this whole woe is me movie, and I'm sick of them. I've been preached at so much about slavery and how I should feel bad about it that I don't feel bad about it anymore. It's like if you call me a Nazi long enough, I'll stop caring about whether I am or not. And that's the same thing with the slavery issue. Yeah, slavery is bad. We can all agree slavery is bad. And I don't think I'm a racist. I mean, I've met black women that I would definitely have dated. But so I guess, how do you know? I mean, people are like, call you a racist. And I'm sitting here thinking, but how do I know if I am or not? I mean, is observing reality a racist thing these days? Is having the ability to like recognize patterns making you racist? I mean, I hate to say it, but I do have black friends.
Man, I gotta tell you, math is racist.
Yeah, it's like you get yelled at so much for stuff that after a while, it's like you become immune to it. And I thought this movie might be another preachy movie, but it's not. I'm telling you guys, I am from the South, hillbilly redneck as you can get. And no, this is not a preachy movie about the suffering of this and that. It's a good movie. Surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. And you're hearing this from somebody that watches like In the Mouth of Madness every week, at least once, because I've got like a rotation of 12 movies and that's all I watch because I'm a weirdo. And it's, I can almost name them: Conan the Barbarian, In the Mouth of Madness, Dread, the good one, not the Sylvester Stallone one, Event Horizon, Blade Runner 2047. What's the one with the green gas? Lord of Illusion. Yeah, I like all of them, and I just watch them. Yeah, Walmart is racist. It's like so basically, when I find a movie that I really like, I never get tired of it. I have probably watched Conan the Barbarian 1,000 times in my life. And I've watched Event Horizon 4 times this month. And I've watched In the Mouth of Madness at least 3 times this month. And I never get tired of it. Like every time when the weird dude's like, do you like Sutter Kane? Like, I never get tired of it. I'm always like, damn, that's kind of cool, Especially since, let's be honest, Sutter Kane is supposed to be Stephen King, and Stephen King just ripped H.P. Lovecraft off for everything. But saying he ripped him off isn't fair because Stephen King says he was inspired by, Prince of Darkness, because Stephen King himself says he was inspired heavily by H.P. Lovecraft. So I can't say he stole from H.P. Lovecraft, because if H.P. Lovecraft were alive, he would be Stephen King's pen pal, and they would be exchanging ideas back and forth, because that's how H.P. Lovecraft was. He would have willingly let Stephen King write anything he wanted. So even though I think Stephen King is a jerk because of his political opinions, at least he paid homage to the man that turned him into the writer that he is, honestly.
I don't know. I don't think Stephen King's all that great of a writer. He does have his terrible tropes.
Yeah, Stephen King is the kind of guy that 1 out of every 10 of his books is awesome. And the rest
It's
of them are like,
probably fair, I guess.
you know what I mean?
Like all his, it seems like everything he writes about has to have an evil preacher, the kid with mysterious powers, and that weird guy who talks
Yeah,
about that
Stephen
powers.
King really, really hates specifically Catholicism.
Yeah,
And he always makes the priest the bad guy, like in Silver Bullet and all that shit. And those are the movies I don't like. But watch Rose Red, which was a made for TV series about this haunted house. It's actually really good. You know, The Stand is pretty good. And The Stand links in with The Dark Tower because Captain Flag. And Captain Flag, the main bad guy from The Stand, is also called He Who Walks Behind the Rose, which links it to Children of the Corn. You see what I mean? Yeah, he should stick to the short stories. Yeah, because all of his best stuff, like The Mist, all of his actual good things that they've ever went on and made into decent movies were short stories. Like his actual big thick books. Well, The Stand's a big thick book, but a lot of those suck. Yeah, Silver Bullet. Yeah, Gary Busey. I don't. Gary Busey was in a movie where he's always talking about eating stuff on a stick, and I don't remember the name of that movie, but I remember I liked it. I'd eat that on a stick. Gary Busey. But Gary Busey's best movie, guys, was definitely the Buddy Holly story. A young Gary Busey kicked ass as Buddy Holly. He really did. It was a really good. I liked it, but I like Buddy Holly too. So uh, definitely one of the greats. But so yeah, you got two opinions on Sinner. Leth thinks it was had kind of anti-Christian undertones. I didn't see them. You'll make your own mind up.
I also didn't like that one white chick who wanted to be black all the time.
She was a quadroon.
Yeah, I know.
That means she's a quarter black.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, she was like wanting to be with the guy who just wanted to go around sleeping with some other man's wife and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but there was a time we have to accept that there was a time when how they determined if you were black or not is if you had a single drop of blood.
Yeah.
So technically, even though she looked pretty damn white passing, in those days she would have been considered black.
Fair.
Well, I mean, you just didn't know that, but I did.
No, I did know that at that time, but I don't know.
You should have worn a helmet, yeah. Yeah, way back in those days, they were like a single drop of blood made you black. So, yeah, that chick, she looked white. But that's what in the modern day they call white passing. And I would just call white because I'm not willing to do a freaking ancestry.com on every person I meet. For a while when I did my ancestry, I told my wife when I spit on the thing and rubbed my jaw and shit and sent it in, I told my wife, be prepared. There could be African. And she was like, what? And I'm like, I'm just saying. There could be. And then I come back like 50% German. It's like, okay, never mind. I'm all Scandinavian, German, and Slav. I barely have anything from the British Isles. I'm all Central and East. How that happened beats the shit out of me. But the reason I said that, Leth, is I know for a fact that on my mother's side, one of my grandfathers back then owned slaves. You know what I'm saying? In South Carolina, he owned a plantation. And if a dude owned a plantation, then automatically anyone related to that dude might, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is just what it is. And I used to make fun of the other people where I lived there in the mountains, because like they'd be kind of darker skinned, right? And have kind of darker hair or wavier hair. And they'd be like, well, I'm part Indian. And I was like, yeah, the part Indian you are come from Africa. You know what I mean? Because they didn't want to admit it. But it's like, no one living in those mountains right now is actually part Indian. Get out of here. The Indians were gone 300 years ago. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, you ain't got to lie. I mean, you just had some African in the woodpile. I'll put it nicely. It happens. It's not your fault. Shit. Like one of the most attractive women I've ever seen in my entire life was from like Nairobi or something. Like she was African. She wasn't like American, African American. She was African. And she was probably one of the most beautiful, statuesque, Greek goddess looking women I'd ever laid eyes on. It was like,
Fair enough.
yeah, the Melungeons, who are almost all dead now, they're in Eastern Kentucky and parts of North Carolina and Tennessee. And they're definitely dark skinned. So they've got possibly African and Spaniard and Cherokee, and God only knows. But
Oh,
now that
looks like I need to
technology's
go.
around, huh?
I need to go. I'll see you.
I'll catch you, lad. Thanks for joining. Now with technology and roads and stuff like that, the Melungeons are just freaking vanishing because they're just interbreeding with all the other hillbillies. So their particular whatever's is just getting absorbed. And, that's what happens. But that's why in Eastern Kentucky, when the first settlers came across the Appalachian Mountains into that region, they found people who were living in European style houses. And that was the Melungeons. And the English settlers were like, what in the hell is this? Like, who are these guys? And for the longest time, no one knew who they were or where they even come from. And the last thing I read about them is they were part of some Spanish expedition or something. And I guess a bunch of the people in the expedition got pissed off and ran away and set up shop and married some of the native women and whatever and become Melungeons. And I can tell you right now, guys, that kind of shit could only happen in Appalachia. Because Appalachia is weird. It's poor. It's full of really bad people that you got to watch out for. And I love it. And I'm so proud to be Appalachian. And I can't wait till I can go back. Because as haunted and effed up as that place is, if you're born there, the saying, if you know, you know. That's all I can say about it. If you're from Appalachia, if you know, you know. And if you're not, you never will know. And unfortunately, my bro Leth over there, he is not Appalachian. He's from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he's from Western Kentucky, and he is not Appalachian. He might as well be from Indiana. You got to be from, Hazard, Pikeville. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of people. But what I'm saying is that kind of shit could only happen in Appalachia because of, I don't know. Appalachia's supernatural, man. Those mountains are older than the rings around Saturn. They're if not the oldest mountains on the entire planet, they're like in the running, like they're the second. And shit happens there that I'm telling you shouldn't happen anywhere else. And even let to tell you, this is true of almost all of Kentucky. You can have all 4 seasons in one day, just out of the blue. And you want to talk about superstition and witchcraft and shit like that, go on YouTube and just type in Appalachian stories, and you will find thousands of stories of like the Bell Witch or some cannibal or something. I mean, and some of them are actually like based on actual true things, like the Mothman. That's an Appalachian thing. That's West Virginia, I think. But Dogmen somehow migrated from Michigan to Appalachia. Bigfoot, or a type of Bigfoot's in Appalachia. Inbred cannibals living in the backwoods of hollers eating people. That's an Appalachian theory. You know, supposedly there's lizard people that live in the deep mines. There was a whole series called Hellier, Kentucky that went into that. Now, I've never seen anything directly with my own eyes, but I have been walking through the woods and then run into an area where shit just don't feel right. And my advice, if you ever do that, is you keep going. And also, even on my own property, because I own 30 acres up there on the mountainside, even on my own property, when I walk out of my house, I have my AK with me. You know, I'm not joking around. And the one thing I hate to see on my property more than anything else is someone I don't know. Because I don't know. And I don't know what they're there for. And they could be bad people, like really, really bad people. And so, you know, now if it's one of my cousins, I know what they're doing. They're up there trying to kill a deer or something because they get deer off of there every year. But so I guess what I would say is 99% of the Appalachian stuff you could probably take with a grain of salt, but 1% of it is absolutely 100% true. And I'm not sure which is which. So, you know, the northern Midwest. So you got the original Bigfoot. We've got the Bigfoot that actually tries to eat you. Because apparently the Bigfoot from up north is supposed to be kind of gentle. But the hairy man, as the Cherokee call him, that's how it translates to English. The hairy man is carnivorous and will eat you. And has been known, like there's stories of them attacking settlers and all kinds of crazy shit. So, you know, but then again, it could just be ghost tales. So, peace and love, guys. I'm going to take off. I stayed on 20 minutes longer than I meant to just because Holy Diver and you showed up, William. It turns out I streamed at the exact wrong time. I started streaming and Double D and Bloodworth were streaming. So it was just me and Let's sitting here talking shit and painting Baltec figures. So, yeah. Got this Black Knight painted green. I need to throw a purple bird on him so people know. One of the best mechs right here, the Black Knight. Whether it's the Star League Tech one or the Inner Sphere one, the Black Knight is my beloved. Actually, my beloved is the Griffin. I'm absolutely a huge fan of the Griffin, even though it's not even a good mech. But I always take a Griffin in every lance, even though I know it's dragging the lance down and there's more effective mechs I could take. But I just love the Griffin. And you know how it is, you know. You fall in love with the mech and you just love that mech. And you'll take the handicap because you just love that mech. So let me hit this. Now, tomorrow is when I actually do stream, usually between 4 and 6. And so that's the one time I schedule. So if I see you, and have a good night, guys.